You're listening to Once, episode 150, Snowdrift, and There's No Place Like Home, Initial Reactions. Stink, was it Snowdrifts?
I'm not sure. Let's look it up.
See, I wrote this down before I didn't look at the titles.
Live podcasting, everybody.
Yeah, this is why the recorded episodes sound a lot better.
I'll save it for the podcast.
Oh, someone in the chat room said it's Snowdrifts. So let me just verify this.
Whoa.
That's an echo. It's a time loop. We're looping time.
Don't worry. Nothing will happen.
It is Snowdrifts, and There's No Place Like Home. Okay. I want to verify. There's okay.
Place like home.
Take 3. Here we go.
For the
real.
holidays. Okay.
Freeze it. You're listening to Once, episode 150, Snowdrifts, and There's No Place Like Home, Initial Reactions. Welcome back to another episode of the... Okay, just take 2 on that.
Oh, gosh. Nice.
Welcome back to another episode of Once, the unofficial podcast for ABC's TV show Once Upon a Time. I'm Daniel J. Lewis.
I'm Jeremy Laughlin.
Thank you for joining us. Wow, what an interesting season 3 finale.
I can't believe Once Upon a Time is over. What an amazing series finale. Too bad we turned it off before the last 5 minutes. I'm sure nothing happened. Wait, I said that last week.
Now, just to clarify, we just saw the episodes.
We just saw them.
So these are just our initial reactions. That's where we have our full discussion later on, but now is just our everything that's going to be all mumbo jumbo, kind of like timelines. Some stuff will disappear, some stuff won't make sense, some stuff will get squashed like a little bug.
Most of my thoughts will resemble silver goo coming out of an urn.
But we'll give you a chance to send your feedback to us for our full discussion podcast later on in this week, and we'll tell you about how you can do that in a little bit. But this was cool. I'm glad they combined these 2 episodes together. It made total sense. And I'd said beforehand that I thought it would make total sense why they were combining it. At least I think I said that.
Remind us.
I just did.
Okay.
But
I'm still thinking about silver goo.
I really liked that by putting these 2 episodes together, it gave them more time to tell the story.
And they didn't leave us rolling our eyes at the end of Snowdrift, waiting another week.
Yes, exactly. They didn't have to show us a previously on Once Upon a Time. They didn't even have to give us the credits. They didn't have to do the intro twice. All of the stuff they didn't have to do twice. Realistically, gave them probably 5 more minutes of content that they, well, maybe not that much, but well, when you look at how a story flows, if you have to bring the story to an end for an episode, you have to wrap up certain things and give a cliffhanger. But if you're just continuing one episode straight into the other, you don't have to bring it to a wrap up.
That cliffhanger might have been there if we kind of go back and look at where one episode might stop, say on the DVDs, and then the next one might pick up. But thankfully for tonight, they decided to let it flow.
Bing! Take a drink. Which Jeremy's drinking his water too. Yeah, Frozen. Okay.
Let's just go there.
Just to clarify,
they went there.
The whole, this could be a combination of things. It could be a combination of Elsa from Frozen. Yes, if you haven't seen Frozen, go watch it. And you can now get it on DVD. And if you want to buy it, by the way, go to oncepodcast.com/Frozen. That will be our affiliate link, which will be working later, that you'll be able to purchase Frozen on DVD or Blu-ray if you'd like to. But they could go the Elsa route, or they could also go the White Witch route, like think Chronicles of Narnia.
Okay.
So they could combine these characters. We've seen them combine characters before. whatever happens, Disney's going to sell more merchandising from Frozen for this.
Well, see, here's the thing. And I've said already, I thought there's no way we'll see Frozen covered in this show, probably ever, let alone soon, because Frozen is too new of a movie. And for some people, believe it or not, there are some people who are slow to watch movies. It would be their first exposure to the story. And for everybody else, you already, before it's sort of more of a classic, you already want to retell the story and maybe twist it and do those sorts of things. It seems very, very strange. But the way this scene was framed, clearly they wanted everyone who's ever seen Frozen to think Elsa.
Yes.
So if they do, honestly, just to be honest, I'm disappointed that they'll go there.
Well,
if they don't, there are plenty of people who want very much to see Elsa. They will be disappointed. So either way, I think you're going to have some strong reactions, if nothing else.
Well, the movie Frozen is based on a fairy tale by Hans Christian Andersen called The Snow Queen. So what they're doing is they're bringing in another fairy tale character. They're not bringing in a movie character. They are bringing in a fairy tale character, but they are tying in brandings that we already know. Yes, it's very recent, which is kind of odd because most of the characters that they've brought in have been from movies that Disney did in the 90s or earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Like we haven't seen Kronk or anyone.
Well, that's different than a fairy tale.
We haven't seen Simba. We haven't seen
a
lot of the Tarzan, a lot of these more modern Disney movies. Now they're jumping it, and we're seeing Elsa in here, potentially Elsa. She looks like Elsa, so I'm just going to call her Elsa.
Really, the glove? Now. Yeah.
But it's cool, and it's a little odd.
Cool in temperature. It was very odd.
And it will be interesting to see where they go with this, because the way that they're kind of making each season or half season is that there's some villain. Look at season 1, the villain was Regina and the curse.
Yes.
Season 2 was, for the first half of the season, the villain was the separation that they were in, being in present-day fairy tale land and in Storybrooke, and then Korra was the villain. Very quickly, they wrapped up the Korra storyline, and then Greg and Tamara became the villains, who are working for the bigger villain of season 3, which was Peter Pan, for the first half of the season, and then the second half of season 3 that we just finished was Zelena as the villain. And by the way, Zelena, well, we'll talk about her more, but
my goodness,
she's gone.
She's just gone.
Yeah, I was expecting to see her.
This story arc, honestly, was 9 episodes. Then they gave us a 2-hour movie, basically, to wrap up something they might have spent the last 15 minutes on. I mean, as far as what was accomplished, was, previously about 15 minutes worth.
And I really enjoyed the way that they did this.
I enjoyed it. It didn't feel like a season finale. It didn't even feel like a mid-season finale.
And
it felt like, hey, it's summer, and Once Upon a Time's been gone a while, so here's a movie. Enjoy this.
And a lot of things in the story, I think a lot of the writing did suffer in this. Certain plot lines. There was something big to me that we'll get more into in the full discussion coming up this Wednesday, but there was a couple timeline things that really seemed messed up. Some other stuff that was really odd, some poor writing. Yes, there's that, so we're acknowledging that. But I really thought it was cool to get to see season 1 again, because remember, I don't mean it like that.
Yes, without having to put the DVDs in, even.
But so close to how things were and getting to see some of the exact same scenes, but seeing them in a slightly different way. That was fun. I really enjoyed that. That was something that Back to the Future 2 is a really weird one from the series. I really like Back to the Future 3 the best. But one of the things I loved about Back to the Future 2, and I think I've only seen it once in my life, is how, spoiler by the way, how they go back to the events of Back to the Future 1 and redo them from a different perspective. And I loved how they did it. I loved how in the Harry Potter movie, Prisoner of Azkaban, how, sorry, this might be another spoiler for you, but how they do time travel in it. When you get to see the same event from a different perspective due to time travel, and the event unfolds because of the time travel in a particular way.
Yeah.
So the thing I've been talking about for the last few episodes, where by trying to change the past, you create the past. I love seeing that kind of thing. Or like this, where they broke it and then had to fix it, and we got familiar stuff, but it was brought back together.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Except right. I would have preferred that somehow they caused it and it always had to happen. I think I would prefer that. I'm not sure. Because they made time travel a very shaky prospect, as maybe they should. At least it doesn't feel like something that's going to just keep happening. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to keep happening. But that means that the history that we've seen, basically the story we know, the story we saw in season 1 is what happened, but not really. She didn't even hit him with a rock. The whole main scene that really, in a sense, got a lot of us hooked on the show never happened. Seeing the whole robbery from 2 different perspectives and seeing what led up to it and everything, that wasn't the main thing that brought them together anymore. So maybe it doesn't matter that much going forward because the same basic things happen, but at the same time, it kind of bugs me.
Well, and when they get back to Storybrooke, Snow remembers Princess Leia, right? Yes. That was the impression I got. Is that she said
it was they're in the book.
Yeah. So they did change the present because now Snow remembers, but
it had such a big build-up, and I kept waiting for someone to say something. I thought she was going to walk in, and for some reason they weren't going to know her, even though that didn't make any sense. And I thought this, and I thought that, and all these things might be the case, and they weren't. They basically even had a few lines to indicate, well, yep, we did that whole time travel thing. It fixed you, Emma, but it basically did nothing else. Mm-hmm. It didn't really change anything of any consequence over the last 2 hours, except for the couple things we brought through, one of which we know about, that screwed everything up because we can't have a moment's peace.
Yeah.
Not a moment. Couldn't, if the urn of convenience, as I shall call it, had to come through after Hook so dutifully took it out of its cabinet and placed it within vortex sucking distance. If it had to come through so conveniently, couldn't it have just been dormant for like half a season? Maybe that could be some foreshadowing for the mid-season finale next year.
That could have been really cool to see this object.
We saw that like 6-8 months ago, and now it's happened. No. It has to open right there in the middle of whatever that. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm a little.
It would have been.
It was a huge build. It was like 2 hour. Man, it's like the season's over, and there's still 2 hours. It's gonna be huge, and I'm a little let down. It was fun, but the season ended last week.
Well, it could have been cool if they left the bottle unopened, and then it would be the whole
exactly
J.J. Abrams closed box thing.
Well, it wouldn't be that because eventually it would be open.
Well, yeah, but over summer we would all be theorizing what is in that vase. Now we don't have to.
Would have been a mini typewriter in our minds.
We don't really have to theorize all that much, except, well, if this is Elsa, is she good? Is she evil? Most likely she's the new villain. It seems like Regina might become the new villain too, because Maid Marian came through.
Could it be a lesson in love?
Yeah. Very much. By the way, speaking of lessons in love, there are some people who love us, and we love you too. A lot of people that love us. And thank you so much for your support, and specifically for this episode. Big thanks to Steve Johnson, David Newland, Lisa Slack, DJ Firewolf, David Williams, Tammy, and Paul Dickinson for sponsoring this episode of Once Podcast. We really appreciate your support. It keeps the podcast running, keeps everything online, because it does cost quite a bit to run the podcast, especially during the months that we're not creating podcast as often. It still costs just as much to run the podcast and run the server and stuff. So we really appreciate your kind donations. And several of these are subscribers too. So they've automatically signed up to be ongoing monthly donators to the podcast, and we really appreciate that. If you would like to add your support, there are a couple options. You can give a one-time, an automatic monthly donation, or a per episode donation through Patreon, and we're now up to $16.50 per episode on Patreon. So big thanks to our Patreon backers as well. All of those options are over at oncepodcast.com/sponsor. Now, Paul Dickinson sponsored with a message.
Oh.
And I feel like it fits very well with this episode. Again, his message is, magic comes with a price, but not rules. There should be a guidebook for the Once writers to help them make the universe self-consistent. Get on it, Adam and Eddie. That from Paul Dickinson, his sponsored message.
That is so funny.
You can sponsor with a message. It could be a happy birthday, an I love you. It could be your Twitter account. Just pending approval, by the way, on some things. But you can find out all of those options of how to support us at oncepodcast.com/sponsor. And again, big thank you, Steve, David, Lisa, DJ, Tammy, David, Paul, and all our Patreon backers for your support.
Yes, thank you so much.
You make love an open door for us.
Wow. Wow.
John, please remove that.
Good. I didn't have to say it. Hashtag awkward comma.
Yes. It was really cool to see some of our favorite characters again.
It was. It really was. And not just in a, hey, Red, you're standing where Tink was standing kind of way. It was like she actually had a part. She had lines.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, and we got to see Blue again.
Yes.
We got to see Abigail.
All the colors. Well, except green.
We got to see Abigail again,
Yeah.
or Catherine.
I knew when they started showing flashbacks to Abigail and David in the coach that they were actually going to change the scene for more reasons than just plot. Because we saw Abigail in Granny's, I was like, oh, they actually brought her back, which means they had to shoot more scenes. Might as well have her in both places. It was nice to know the fate of Aurora, which was not a blown-up monkey.
Yeah, and we did get to see her, too.
And she didn't have a monkey baby, and my thoughts on monkey babies were voiced. That was very satisfying.
And it sounds like she had her baby.
It does sound like she had her baby.
Maybe we'll get to see more of that baby in season 4, which, by the way, we know Once Upon a Time is coming back for a 4th season. That's already been confirmed. They even said it in the episode. At the end of the episode, they said new episodes of Once Upon a Time returns with all new episodes this fall.
Huh.
And the ABC upfronts haven't even come yet. The upfronts, by the way, we're doing something really special for the upfronts. On Tuesday, that is May 13th, it's 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, GMT -4 while we're in daylight saving time. And it's the ABC upfronts where they talk about the upcoming shows. They talk about some of their past successes. It's primarily an event for press and for sponsors. But as members of the press, we get to see it. And here's the cool thing. We can't share it with you. But what we're going to do is we're going to watch it and live stream while we're watching it so we can share our commentary with you. And it's not just going to be us, because we host this podcast about Once Upon a Time, but also Wayne and Troy, one of them, will be joining us as we talk about Resurrection, one of the other shows that ABC has, and also
has renewed.
Either Ben or Daniel from Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast, which we have over at Welcome to Level 7, will be joining us, and also I believe a couple, maybe one or two of our other hosts from Once podcast will be joining us. So it will be a great panel. We're not going to release it as a podcast. We will publish it on the blog that you can rewatch if you really want to. It might be a little weird to watch us watching something and then commenting here and there, but it will be a live event over at oncepodcast.com/live. So check it out. That's this Tuesday, May 13th. Afterward, you'll be able to rewatch it on YouTube or maybe on the separate websites. But did you notice the hidden Mickey at the beginning?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was so hidden.
Yeah, we got to see Emma as a young girl and see the pain on her eyes and seeing someone else adopted instead of her being adopted. And I like how they gave us so few flashbacks in this. Did you realize that?
Well, when you have main characters flashing back physically,
Yeah,
you don't need to do as much. That would just be confusing.
true. Yeah, it gets. But the flashbacks that they showed us each had a specific purpose. It wasn't like a series of flashbacks to give us this alternate storyline or this connected storyline, but it was specific things to tie stuff together. And that was cool to see them not not doing the normal way of storytelling in this. They threw every normal way of storytelling out in this episode, really, and gave us something completely different, which I really do appreciate. I did really enjoy this episode.
Yeah, it was.
Or episodes.
It was good. Now I understand why Emma's been whining so much. She needed to be fixed in this one. I'm glad that she considers Storybrooke home. I think that was really the main point of the 2 hours, was let's actually get Emma home.
Right.
Because she's never had both feet in Storybrooke.
And also probably confirming for us that Zelena is truly dead.
Well, they did that pretty early on. But yeah, they did exactly what I said. Regina sat in her room and explained it all from guessing. But that's okay, because I liked the explanation.
I was thinking that because of the whole smoke monster that Zelena turned into, I was thinking that these episodes would cover something where she did go in the past and she did change something.
Well, yeah, and I think that's what got me, is that these were disconnected, largely.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that this season wasn't over, but the story arc, the Zelena story arc, was pretty much over.
Yeah, and I kept expecting in this episode, when are we going to see Zelena? Why isn't some of this stuff in the past even already changed? Like, I was expecting Rumple to say something like, well, that's a job for my apprentice, and it'd be Zelena there in the past.
Oh, I didn't. I guess I just have learned to trust Regina's suppositions the first time she thinks of them. So the idea of the pendant just sort of fulfilling Regina's last wish was to open the portal, and that was it. So really, if Regina and Hook hadn't gotten near it on their own, nothing ever would have happened. It would have just been like, could somebody clean up that giant beacon of light that's streaming into the sky?
So remember, children, when you see a giant beacon of light streaming into the sky, don't go near it. If you do, hold on to your cell phone.
Hold on to your cell phone. That was at least reassuring when they came back through. At least her cell phone was still there, and it was still being called by David, and it still had the right person on it. It was reassuring.
Mm-hmm.
And her phone didn't disappear when she went through.
Yeah.
There were little things like that showed nothing changed.
A couple or a few relationships were made quite serious in this episode.
Quite. I wasn't expecting a wedding.
Well, for one, Rumple and Belle getting married. And then
sit on a throne of lies.
Yes.
Which apparently is okay. Apparently that's what Belle loves about him.
He remembered it, though, even during the wedding. It was nice for them to show us that.
Yeah.
And show us that he's still keeping this in mind, and that...
Well, they showed it to us in reference to Belle's words, as if to tell us, it's a real wedding, go ahead and be touched. He's got a flaw. He's always got his flaws. Belle's okay with that. Don't feel too upset for her that he lied to her and wove lies into his proposal. It's okay. Aren't we all flawed? That's kind of what I took from it. Which, okay, fine, because the wedding was really nice. So if I'm supposed to feel good about it, I'll feel good about it. That's fine.
Well, and also we got to see Regina and not Hook.
Oh my gosh.
Regina and Robin hooking up a little bit and having a nice romantic fire and kissing outside of Granny's diner just before, boom, Maid Marian is there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah, it really sets up a lot of things, a lot of complications in the future, because this now means there's a love triangle with Regina involved in it.
Well, and what she said to Emma was completely understandable. She's only recently learned to overcome all those feelings. I mean, it was completely understandable. The issue will be, does she go back to being the evil queen?
Yeah.
Over it? Is her vendetta now against Emma? I hope not. I think that's...
Well, now Emma and...
I'd have to call her Queen Yo-Yo.
Now Emma and Hook are together as well. Which a lot of people are saying, finally!
Officially.
And I think their relationship kind of needed this in order for it to progress. And the reason I'm now accepting this is because, well, other things have happened that they can move on with it in this way. So to see them together really shows how their relationship developed in just this episode. And that's stuff that we needed to see in order to appreciate their relationship in this way. And then to also see to that the respect that Neil got for being named, or the baby being named after Neil.
Yes.
Now we have Prince Neil.
Which I called.
Yeah. and a lot of people were saying, I know Jacqueline said something like, if they don't name the baby Neil, I'm going to stop watching the show.
Oh, good grief. It's a little extreme. Maybe.
But our conversation about this episode doesn't stop here. We have a lot more to talk about because it's not just us running this podcast. It's also Aaron joins us and Hunter and Jacqueline. So we're going to have a really big, great podcast this upcoming Wednesday. The schedule is going to be a little bit different, so make sure you follow us on Twitter at Once Podcast, because we want to make sure that we give ourselves time for all of us to talk about this, talk about the highlights from both of these episodes, and work through this in detail like you know we do. Please send us your theories and feedback about this episode, or both of these episodes. Email that to feedback@oncepodcast.com and put in the subject line the word finale. You can add something else in there, like a short summary of your theory or something, but make sure that word finale is in there. And you can also call and leave a voicemail at 903-231-2221, or go to the website oncepodcast.com and send a voice message through the website on your computer or iOS device. And if you forget any of this information, it's in the show notes for this episode at oncepodcast.com/150. And if you've been listening for all 150 episodes, thank you so much. That's over 200 hours of content, probably, that we've released through this podcast, or it's somewhere around there. So thank you so much for sticking with us. And if you're just joining us, thank you. Make sure that you're subscribed over at oncepodcast.com, and you can leave ratings and reviews through iTunes and Stitcher by either going to oncepodcast.com/iTunes or /Stitcher. And we would really appreciate that, and it helps other people find the show as well. Please follow each of us on Twitter so you can connect with our personal lives, as we probably will bring on the Frozen references again, just as we thought they were fading. I'm Daniel J. Lewis on Twitter at The Ramen Noodle.
I'm Jeremy Laughlin on Twitter at Phlegon, Phlegon.
Make sure that you send us your feedback for our upcoming episode, which will be on Wednesday, May 14th, over at oncepodcast.com/live. Big thanks to everyone who joined us for this live episode. And until next time, remember, sometimes the best teacup is chipped. Aww. And thanks for listening. Once Podcast is a proud member of Noodle.mx Network. Find more of our award-winning and award-nominated podcasts to make you think, laugh, and succeed at Noodle.mx. Big thanks to our contributors for this episode of Once Podcast. If you'd like to sponsor one episode automatically, or just... let me try that again. Big thanks to our donators for this episode of Once Podcast. If you'd like to sponsor an episode, one-time, automatic monthly donation, or per episode, please go to oncepodcast.com/sponsor. Okay.
So, My new theory.
Mm-hmm.
The home office is a thing, and it's Disney. How can Disney be making movies currently about people they haven't even encountered yet? They know. They're watching.
Mm-hmm.
Disney has spies in all the realms, and Disney is telling us these stories. Frozen wasn't supposed to be so popular. Frozen is a coded message to their agents in this world.
It's all part of the Pixar theory. Matt Smith, really?
What about Matt Smith?
Someone said I look like Matt Smith.
Your hair. I said that before.
Maybe it's the profile. Does he have a weird nose like I do?
It's not an insult.
Well, he's Doctor Who. If someone says you look like Doctor Who, I mean, I'm not going to take that as an insult, but I don't think I look like him. The Doctor Who with the most hair ever, right? Or am I wrong? I haven't seen
that's pretty
Who.
true. Your hair length is getting to be very similar to his when he started.
I'm going for the rumple look. We'll see how it looks when I get there, and then maybe cut it all off. Hey, thanks for joining us, everybody. We have broken a record tonight with viewers.
Really?
Live viewers. Between Mixler and YouTube Live, we had about, at most, at our peak that I could see, 200 live viewers.
Wow. Hi, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. And a lot of that might be because we're using YouTube. I don't know. I'll look at the stats later to see where everyone was watching.
See, the problem is that all of my Frozen parody energy ran out about a week ago. And I kind of want to make some parodies, but I really just want to sleep.
You know, this summer, if we're going to make a parody, like Once Upon a Time parody with Frozen, this summer would be the summer to do it.
I know. Goodness. I'm sure by Wednesday I'm going to have some stuff to sing. It's already starting. Well, hello, Ragged Coin. Thank you for listening, and thank you for joining. It's our last Sunday night for a while.
Yeah.
Sad.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Hi, Once Fan. The part of the show where we sit here and speak verbally responses to the chat room.
Yeah, which they're probably sitting there thinking, why isn't he responding? And then a minute later, because there's about a 60-second delay.
And it's too bad Aaron's not in the chat room asking us questions repeatedly that we're not answering.
Aaron, can we do like 7 o'clock?
Here's a problem, Daniel. We've got a massive rewatch we have to do.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to do the ramen noodle this Wednesday.
Right. So what? Start the rewatch at 6? No, because it won't be done.
Yeah.
Well, it's only going to take an hour and a half, right? Without commercials?
Right.
So if we just start that at 5:30, just sort of eat quickly.
Well, that's too tight. To start it at 5:30 and then go live at 7.
7:15? 7:30?
I like being on an hour.
I am available anytime Wednesday, actually. So okay. I don't care how early we want to do whatever. We're just going to need to make sure we don't end up with like low blood sugar because we started at 4 and didn't take a break to eat anything until like whenever we stop. Because dang. I shouldn't say I'm available anytime. I'm available anytime after lunch. Wait. Oh no, what have I done?
Broken Story? It's Storybrooke.
What's your problem? Ooh, I have 2 Wednesdays off in a row. I got Wednesday, all available. It's all Wednesday. It's available. Okay. Game of Thorns. That's a funny name. Game of Thrones.
Yes, I need to adjust my...
Elsa, oh my gosh. Okay, what I didn't say, I'll probably mention it Wednesday, is that I actually, fine, Elsa reference, whatever, but like maybe for 2 episodes. Not a whole half season arc, I think. Don't want it to become too formulaic. You gotta shake it up. You gotta let it go. Rumpel. I wanted to tell Belle don't do it when the wedding happened until her little speech. And I was like, oh, okay. So basically, if he says, so I lied to you during my proposal, she's going to be okay.
Speak now or forever hold your peace. And you held your peace.
I held my peace. I did hold my peace. Well, we can watch it again. Yes, that is a great way to put it. If they come out and make Elsa a villain right now, while the real question mark story is still fresh in our minds, it's not going to work very well.
Mm-hmm.
Emma and Hook. It's whatever. That's been coming.
Well, and what would Disney think?
They lopped off part of the triangle, so...
Disney made Elsa famous. So what would Disney think if here these little TV show writers want turning their beloved character into the bad girl?
Well, the way I see it, they're all in it together. Disney owns ABC.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure Disney has to sign off on any Disney original character, which Elsa basically is, before they use it, which is why it surprises me. Which is a big reason that she may have a different name, and they just had her pull off a glove just to, whatever, build hype. But like I said, it'll be a relief-ish to me if it's not Elsa, and it'll be a big disappointment to some other people.
You know what could have been fun is if at the end of this episode they put in, like Mark Isham orchestrated some of the Let It Go music or something from Frozen into there.
Okay, so the Peter Pan thing, yeah. But we're used to them twisting the classics because we've heard multiple versions of a lot of them. I'm sure Peter Pan being a villain is a little bit messy for some people. But it's not new.
Yeah, Peter Pan was and is a very popular story outside of Disney.
Right.
Plays, musicals, movies. It's been done plenty of times. Snow Queen, not so much.
Right.
It's one of the lesser known fairy tales out there.
Any character in the Disney vault, huh? Interesting.
We expect season 4 will be back in September, end of September. That's traditionally how they've been doing. Which, by the way, I need to make that Frozen affiliate link. September. That's why I had this open.
Make what?
The Frozen affiliate link.
Oh. Jeez. So 4.5 months. Not a whole lot longer than the last hiatus.
That one. Let it go. Let it go. Don't hold it back in your mouth. Let it go. Let it go.
Let it go. Has all new meaning.
Frozen.
An urn of isolation. And desolation. And spillimation. Regina's howling that made Marian's inside. Good night, Aaron. Oh my goodness. Did you just have the same idea I had looking at the chat room?
Yes.
Yes?
What, based on what Aaron said?
Well, no.
The other Aaron?
No. So Andrew said he was expecting Jafar, or somebody else said Jafar as well, which made me think about who is actually coming full time onto the cast, which made me think about
Why didn't that person?
no, not as much that, but who is he associated with? I don't think the timelines would make sense.
Oh, you think? Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. Not even probably a chance if I really think about the timelines.
Yeah.
Too long ago. Too otherwise occupied, probably. And Peter Pan / his father.
Oncepodcast.com/Frozen now works, by the way.
Oh.
If anyone would like to purchase Frozen. Let me see. Is season 3 available yet? I mean, season 3 available yet for purchase?
the heck out of me. I should go to bed. It's later than it normally is.
Season 3 is still not available yet.
Yeah, I don't want to see Jafar ever again, really. Oh, that's a good thought. Hijabao, Elsa and Anastasia, Anna, sisters.
I thought that's what you were getting at.
No, I thought maybe it was her.
Oh.
Because I've been trying to figure out how Will can be in Storybrooke without Anastasia. So it made sense to me if it might be her, but...
Okay. Spoiler. By the way.
Not for long.
No, for a long time. 3 months until the show is back. Okay. We need to head out. It's late here, later than it normally is for us. I know there's still 100 of you watching. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. That I am very grateful. We will be back this Wednesday at... Oh, we'll figure out the time. And we'll see what we can do as far as trying to cram our discussion into this. But I think, yeah, there's not... We won't do probably a scene by scene, and that might not really be as necessary to do. Because we've seen it all already.
Right.
We'll just tell everyone, go back to oncepodcast.com/5 and listen to episode 5. Aurora's baby was apparently born. That's what happened.
Not incinerated. Nobody who died as a monkey mattered anyway, apparently, so it's fine.
Yeah. Well, my hair does kind of look like Matt Smith's, especially from that angle, because of the receding hairline. Makes this hair look a lot more prominent. I don't like it from that angle. That looks weird. I actually want to part my hair down the middle.
No,
somewhat.
Don't do that.
Like,
no, don't do that. No. No, not the middle.
Well,
it's too... No.
Maybe when it gets Rumpelstiltskin length, I'll try it for a day.
For a day.
All right, everybody. Good night. Thank you so much for watching. If this is your first time and you're watching on YouTube and you're still watching, make sure that you subscribe to the podcast where we release 2 episodes per week during the season and other stuff, cool stuff coming over at oncepodcast.com. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night. I want to start doing my Miranda Sings invitation.
Go ahead.
No, I don't.
Sing us out, Jeremy.
No, not a song. Make sure you subscribe.
Oh, Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.